I'm not wearing any trousers. Now, I realised that during whatever version of lockdown you went through, meetings and a lot of work stuff got moved online, and there became a bit of a thing for people wearing whatever they felt like and leaving their camera off, or putting on a smart shirt and wearing pyjama trousers. But that's not why. This is for a medical reason. Let me take you back in time a little.
You're gonna see some serious...
I'm 52 years old, and despite one or two serious injuries that have stopped me being able to train, I've been fit and active pretty much all of my life. But over the last few years, a few things have started to creep up on me without me really noticing. My sleep was getting worse. I'd be awake several times in the night, and a lot of the time I'd really struggle to get back to sleep once I was awake. My mood was lower. I was sad a lot, and it was tricky to motivate myself to get on and do things. Anything. That's one of the reasons the videos here have been a bit more sporadic than I'd have liked. But the one thing that was significant enough to catch my attention, the one thing I just couldn't write off as one of those things, or getting old, was that I just couldn't recover from training. I'd ache. I don't mean a little bit of DOMS after a workout. I mean everything would hurt. I'd struggle to get out of bed, it would hurt to walk. It was genuinely impacting on my life. And it got to the point where I was training less and less. I was finding ways to do things that involved less and less effort. And while that definitely improved my technical jiu-jitsu, it also had a knock-on effect on me physically. I put on weight. I lost muscle bulk. I had less energy. And so when one of the many companies that advertise for low testosterone treatment popped up on my Instagram feed offering a surprisingly cheap blood test, I figured why not? I paid for the test, it arrived a few days later and I did it. It was just a little finger prick, like my son does for his diabetes all the time, no big deal. The results came back a few days later and lo and behold, I had low testosterone. I thought about it for a while and did a bit of research online, and the more I read, the more it became clear to me that it wasn't a one-off. If I genuinely did have low testosterone, then that could be the reason for a huge amount of the negative physical issues I'd been trying very hard to ignore. So I paid for the bigger, more detailed blood test that happily ruled out all sorts of other nasty things that could be causing my problems, and confirmed that my testosterone was indeed low. Not massively, but low enough to be potentially causing issues. At this point, I feel I need to explain to my US-based friends how the healthcare system works in the UK. The NHS, the National Health Service, is an amazing institution. It's funded through the tax we pay, which, weirdly, isn't much higher than anyone else's, but provides healthcare that's completely free at the point of delivery. So in theory, I could get my treatment done for free on the NHS. In reality, what state-funded healthcare means is that there's always a cut-off point for treatment. It needs to be financially justifiable. So there are all sorts of guidelines in place for treatment options. Low testosterone is treated on the NHS, but getting through the system can take quite a long time because it isn't considered urgent. Something like cancer treatment can be put into action in a matter of days, or even hours in some cases, and emergency treatment is usually fantastic. But for less serious chronic conditions, it can be pretty hard to get into the system. But we also have private healthcare in place. There are private family doctors, specialist clinics, even entire hospitals. You can self-fund or have health insurance to cover it. So for this issue, I decided to self-fund. I don't want to turn this into a discussion on the pros and cons of state-funded healthcare. I just wanted you to understand how it works here. Once I'd had the second blood test, I needed to have a consultation with a specialist doctor to make sure that what I was describing fit with the results of my blood tests, and to discuss potential treatment options. Again, I paid for that. The doctor agreed with me that low testosterone was likely to be the root cause of a number of the issues I was dealing with, and suggested a 6-month course of injections with a formal review at that point to see if it was worth carrying on with. He presented a few options and I went away to have a think. I've got 5 kids. My oldest is nearly 30, my youngest is 5. I have absolutely no intention or any desire at all to have any more children, so the potential impact on my fertility from TRT was not something that I was in any way concerned about. In fact, that feels a little bit more like a benefit to me. In the end, I decided to go for a course of Sustanon 250 injected twice a week. The clinic I use does an all-inclusive service where everything you need is sent to you. Regular reviews and blood tests are included, and there's a doctor you can talk to if you develop any issues or side effects during treatment. For all of that, I'm paying £100 a month. That's about $135. I'm injecting 0.2 mils every 3.5 days, and I have to be honest, the idea of injecting myself did not fill me with glee. The first couple, I got my wife to do. She trained to be a doctor, so she's happy to do it. But then one was due and she wasn't around, so I just did it. It was alright, actually. I need to do one now. So if you're not keen on needles, I suggest you skip this next bit of the video. Incidentally, this is why I'm not wearing trousers. Not too bad. The reason I'm making this video now is that I'm about 4 weeks in and I've started to notice a number of things. Firstly, if I do the injections in my leg, like I just did, it can be a bit achy for a day or so afterwards. When my wife does it, she does it in my glutes, in my bum. The aching isn't great, but I can live with it. It's not that bad. And that's pretty much the only negative that I can come up with. I'm definitely sleeping better. It's not perfect, but last night I went to sleep pretty quickly, and I vaguely remember stirring a few times, but I never really woke up until my alarm went off. I'm feeling noticeably more motivated. I've got some weights and a kettlebell here in my office where I spend a lot of time, and for the last year or two they've been ornamental at best. But now I'm using them every day, enough that I'd have been suffering a few months ago. I'm still training several times a week and aching way less than I was. We did a session on omoplatas last night and my right shoulder's a little bit achy, but other than that, I'm good. I'd happily get on the mats right now if there was somewhere to train and I didn't actually have to make some money to pay for food. My mood's improved as well. I'm definitely less sad. My kids would tell you I'm still grumpy, but it's early days. I'm definitely more motivated and more able to get myself to do things. And my body makeup is changing. I've not really lost any weight at all, but I'm definitely carrying a bit more muscle. And people are starting to comment at the gym that I'm getting harder and harder to roll with. That's never a bad thing, right? So if you're like me, and you're no longer as young as you used to be, maybe you're struggling a little physically or even mentally, then I thoroughly recommend you consider getting your testosterone levels checked. If you're in the UK, I'm going to put a link in the video description that you can use for the first test. It gets you a discount at the clinic I used, and it's an affiliate link, so I get a discount off my treatment if you buy a test using that link. I would strongly recommend the company I've used. They've been really simple to deal with, very efficient and super helpful at every stage. I'm sure there are others out there, but I have no direct experience with them. At this point, I should say that this is not a sponsored video. They're not paying me to say this. I've paid the going rate for every step of the process I've had so far, and I'm very happy that it was worth it. That being said, if you use that link, I will get a discount. So to make it 100% clear, I do have something to gain if you use it. But it doesn't cost you any more for me to get that little kickback. Anyway, over to you. Are you on TRT too? If you aren't, are you dealing with any of the issues I mentioned? Let me know. Stick something in the comments. Tell me a bit about your experience and let's have a chat. And to those of you still here at the very end of the video, fight team.